Hi, good morning everybody. This is Jean here. I was looking at my comments on my YouTube channel of my awesome 10-minute quilt block, which has only 3 seams. I've gotten a whole bunch of comments about it, saying how well it's done, and thank you very, very much. But I don't think I explained too well how, after I constructed the 4 blocks, how I actually got this big triangular block in here. If you notice, this was the actual quilt I was working on. This homespun quilt. It's finished. I added the sort of a toile border, and it only, as I was explaining, it only has 4 squares in it, 4 finished blocks, which is amazing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 finished blocks, as it were. Now I'm going to be explaining that because, as I said, I don't think I explained it well enough. Go please see my first video on how to actually construct this block here. But I'm going to be explaining how I got this one in here. But before I do that, I was thinking I wanted to do a few variations and show you how versatile this block really is. Now, I was looking at how I was constructing the points. Again, go to the original video to see how the block is made. But I was wanting to show you how I rolled this. You remember, I rolled this bias edge over here to make these points. But even as I was doing it, my points were sort of getting a bit crummy. I didn't understand it. I thought, why in the world are they not rolling as well? And I thought, well, if somebody was just starting out, they would have difficult time. So I want to show you, again, for demonstration purposes, this is being stitched along here. And then when you come, doesn't matter how big your blocks are, when you come to about 1/2 inch to the end of this roll, bring your needle down and go to the right hand side of this point, and I'll show you. Just go to the right hand side. Keep your needle down, turn your fabric. Now this roll, I didn't explain this real well. This roll, if you see, then it goes right to a really nice point. You tuck your raw edge in, and then you start. And you come over here to the left. You capture that. Now I'm rolling this. I'm rolling this along, top stitching it. Remember how we did that in the first video. Now, if you notice here, this is a little bit, like that didn't make a nice enough point. So I just sort of tuck that. Now I'm going to stitch along here, and I'm going to go to the right. And you'll see, it's about 1/2 inch. Okay, now I'm going to come over to the right, and go there. Your presser foot comes up, and then there you go. There, I'm going to tuck that roll. See how nice that point is? Because I've gone on that side. Well, it's a little bit weird, but there you go. And the points, let the fabric do its work. As I was saying in my first video, just let that fabric roll along as you enclose this piece. Here I am, about 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to come over to here, just a bit, not like off the machine. Just come over to there, to that point. Needle down, turn your fabric. Gently let the fabric, there you go. See that lovely point there? Because I was actually messing up, and I thought, what the heck am I doing wrong? So there you go. Just go slow enough, and then you come along that top stitching point there. And then look at this end, you see? Then you can finish along, and there you have, to my mind, some really nice points for this block. It's just a small little thing. And I'm not a perfectionist whatsoever, but if you can make your sewing a little bit nicer as you go along, then that's good. It's a good thing. And also, another variation on this block, I was telling you that you use the same size squares, right, to make this block. Well, I was thinking, why what would happen if I did other size squares? So these are 6-inch charm squares. This 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was messing about. So I actually made this framing one. If I would turn it, this is the frame. If I wanted to make that curved seam, I made this. This is 6 and 6 is 12 inches. So I actually cut this piece 11 inches. And this makes a big, it's completely different look, if you notice, from this, completely different look. So if I went to put in an extra piece in here, like I've done, and roll it, this would be very, very large. So if you want to do this, you can make, they all have to be square, but you can make different sizes. These 4 are the same size, this one maybe an inch smaller than the finished square, and then it will be, when you go to sew it, point to point. So you have a completely different look. Now I've made, and I was thinking about it again, now this one is 5-inch squares, and I actually cut this center section 4 inches. So it's a tiny little dinky, tiny little dinky frame, or maybe I would just like to leave that white. Now, as you know, I always take out this stuff in the back, but you can, again, reference my first video. So here's just a tiny little one. And so all of the interest is in your squares. But you could make it look like you really did a good job and put a little tiny, what would that be, a 1.5-inch piece of fabric in there and roll it. And that would make a very effective quilt. Again, here are 5-inch squares with, so 5 and 5 is 10, I cut a 9-inch square. And I did, this is that funky bridging piece in the middle. And again, it would be point to point. So whatever size blocks, whatever size squares, make sure these are the same size. You can mess about. You just have to make sure this piece here is square. But these are just a few variations of this fabulous block. Again, I haven't done the whole roll thing. That's that. And again, this is my little handy tip to get these points. So when you're experimenting, you can get these points really nice. Now, back to the quilt. How in the world did I do that? For demonstration purposes, again, I'm using this fabric that I had gotten. It's called Julia's Garden. It's just a delightful summery springtime fabric line. These are called tiles. These are 10-inch squares. Now I've already made this delightful block. If you can see, this is my 1 block, this is my 2 blocks, this is my 3 blocks, this is my 4 blocks. And my other quilt, you saw that I was doing light, dark, light, dark. Well, this fabric line is just beautiful and delightful. So I just pulled whatever. And then I had gotten some yardage, and I put actually this blue and white dot in here as the yardage. And just cut these squares, however. So now you're going to be saying, well, how in the world did you get that? This is what I'm going to be explaining. So what I've done, just as I was showing you, I've actually made the 4 blocks of this same size. These are 10-inch squares, right? These are 10-inch squares that I've made this delightful block out of. So I've arranged these blocks into a pleasing arrangement. Okay, now you're saying, well, how did you get that in there? And again, if you want to pan over to my quilt over here, that is this piece here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're working on this piece here, which in this fabric line is this here. So I have my squares, my finished blocks, in a pleasing arrangement. And what I've done actually is I've taken a piece of white, this piece of white here, and all I've done is I've cut it the exact size of this block. just like my little demonstration blocks. You can do it in, these are the exact same sizes, but if you remember, you can do smaller, just as long as they're square. So what have I done? If you go back to the original video, you can see how I construct this. So I put this bridging piece, remember? I put this bridging piece on here, and I bring this one over to here. Now, I'll just pop this in, 3-minute block. Now I've done all the work obviously beforehand, but you'll see. There's my bridging piece. My seams match up real nice. Quarter-inch seam. If you notice, this isn't my regular machine. My brother machine is in for service. I use it so very much, and it sort of gave up the ghost the other day. But it's fabulous. I just have to go pick it up from the service people. So here's my one seam. Remember, again, this is how I was constructing my block. But this is a mega huge block now. You're thinking, oh my word. So here, remember this? Here's my bridging piece. We're just working with a huge, huge thing. So I just take this, I don't know how I did it. I just do this way. I'll put this one on the top. Again, there's no rhyme or reason to this quilt because it's all the same. Just delightful fabrics. So I'll put this one, I'll use this one here. So remember, I'm not explaining it so much because you know already how to construct. Oh my word, please excuse me. You know how to construct this block. My thread. My other machine has an automatic threader. Going back to, okay, there we go. So I have my bridging piece. This is my second seam. Remember, this is my second seam. Come along. And because it's sewn, you see, because it's sewn exactly, it's just like the other smaller block, but in just a mega, mega large version. So you can make a quilt that's almost a queen size with 6 blocks. Amazing. So here is that's my second seam, remember? Oh my word. So what in the world? So remember, you bring these two together and you have that bridging piece because they're the exact same size, remember? They're the exact same size. Remember to bring up this pocket of the bridging seam fabric. We're just making that block, but massive. So you'll see, here's my bridging piece. I don't even use pins. Once you get used to making them, they work up incredibly quickly. This is actually a very intricate looking quilt that is so simple, but if you would gift it, because it doesn't take that long at all. Here's my third seam. Here's my third seam. A little bit awkward because it's large. Match them up nicely, 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to catch my bridging piece in here. I probably should have pinned it, but I'm being a bit cocky. But there you go. This is my third seam. Come to the middle, match that seam up. And then come along, just as I showed you in the original video. This is huge. You can do it with small blocks, different size blocks, which I've just shown you, to get all different effects. This bridging piece does not always have to be white or tan. It can be black. It can be a fabric, a print. You can experiment with this and come up with different looks. My first quilt behind me is this Americana looking log cabin or colonial, and this one is just a delightful spring little girl's quilt or cottage quilt. Now you will see. Here is this massive block. Sorry. Here's this massive block. See it? See that? So there's my diamond. Now remember, as I said before, you have to take out all that rubbish underneath. Look at my other video, get all that stuff out. And see how this works up with the same size squares. It goes right to the points. It would be lovely. It makes it perfect. It would look like, oh my word, how did you do that? And again, I won't be showing you because I've shown you a dozen times, but here's this one finished. So what you do is you take the square of this teal that I have here, and this one actually, because it's larger and because the bias is bigger, I made this about almost an inch smaller, this piece in here, this blue one, because this rolls. Again, you don't iron it, remember? You would just press these. This rolls so nicely. Look at that, rolls about an inch. And then, so how are you going to stitch it? You're going to start over here on this side. Oh, excuse me, on that side. You're going to start there. You're going to come along. You're going to come along, and then you're going to go to the right. Remember, from about this point, you're going to go up to here. And then, when that's all stitched down, you come back. Look how nicely that rolls over to that point. You see that? So you roll it, you stitch it along here, you stitch it along, you come along here, and you come, and from about that point on, you go over to here. And then when you roll it, look at that. You put your needles down, you stitch it right along there. And then you can just make your beautiful points. So there are just a few variations on this quilt. I think actually this quilt, I'm going to actually probably just have the 2 blocks, because what I had gotten, I had bought some beautiful yardage. Look at that beautiful fabric. So pretty. Again, this is Julia's Garden from Northcott. Ah, so delightful. So beautiful. It's sort of directional. So what I will do, I'll probably just do I'll probably do like a blue and white border, small tiny border to just differentiate it, and then do this lovely beautiful fabric. Look how beautiful that is. So it'll be a small throw, small twin, a large throw size quilt. So I'll show you this quilt when it's done, like I showed you the other one. But hopefully you can just get your 10-minute quilt block, awesome block, 3 seams. You can just experiment and do lots with different fabrics, different size fabrics, different configurations, and have at it and have fun with it. So anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.